be coming, but since it's already time, I think we should start. Okay, so hi, how are you? How are you today? How's the weather like?
Actually, the weather is good. We had some nice rain before, the days before, and now it seems that the sky is clear, and I look forward to a beautiful sunny day.
Okay. Is it already cold there? You're wearing a sweater.
Yes, it's getting colder, particularly now in early mornings. It dropped the temperature to like plus 15, I think, something like that. So on the morning run, it's a bit chill to start.
Okay. Okay, so we're moving to the Q&A, questions and answers. There are 13 questions from fans, and we would like to do as much as we can. So we'll start from the first question. So is there any update from this summer and upcoming news that you can share with us? So what was your summer like?
My summer was a lot of work. We had a great, it was a great summer because a lot of people, a lot of new coaches, a lot of new material was gained. And now it's the time to organize and prepare for the season for me. And I actually really enjoyed my stay in Latvia because it was very different from what it used to be before when I was coming. And I had a lot of fun moving and trying new things. And like right now I'm in my new place. So it was quite eventful for the personal matter.
So 忙しい夏で、いろんなことがあって、で今はそれをこうまとめてシーズンの準備に入っているような感じで、ラトビアでの滞在はとても楽しかったですと。で、あと今デニスがいるところは新しいお家でお引越しをしたので、それも忙しかったですと。でなのでそのパーソナルライフ、私生活の方で結構いろいろ忙しかった夏でしたということでした。So, okay, so what's your new place like?
I'm living literally in front of my ice rink. Right now, you can't see in the camera, but you see a part of the ice rink, the top roof. And it's a little bit bigger. It's a very nice place underneath the roof, which I'm very happy. I have a beautiful view on the mountains. And yeah, it's like part of the school, and I love my new place. My plants love it too.
Your what?
My plants.
Plants. Okay, plants. Okay.
Because because I finally managed to find for them spot where they're not on the right sunlight, and yet they have plenty of light.
Okay. リンクのすぐ隣でもうその窓からリンクが見えるところで、景色もすごくいいし、なんか斜めになっているのが見えますけど、屋根裏なのかな。で、すごく気に入っていて、デニスが大事に育てているその植物もそこを気に入っているということでした。Okay. So we're moving to the next question. Okay, is there any additional information you can share about your new programs?
Not much really. I'm still finding myself in them. I haven't really felt yet this deep connection with them. Although I really like both musics and the costumes are up to my taste, and like I'm still a little bit figuring it out for myself. And all I can say is that I look forward to the journey that will be during the season and evolution of the programs. and I really look forward to see at the end of the season the first performance and the last performance, or rather the best and the beginning.
Okay. まだ、あんまりこう自分のものっていうふうにプログラムが感じられていなくて、それをこう自分のものにするべくプロセスしている途中だということで、今ちょっとちらっとコスチュームもできてきてるしっていう話もあったんですけど、なのでこれからシーズンの中で自分のものになっていい演技ができることを楽しみにしているということでした。Okay, so you told, sorry.
My biggest question in the programs will be to manage my hair, because I really don't know what to do about it.
Okay, so it's a little bit related to, but we have the third question is about your costume. So will we see your new costumes at Nepela, Andre Nepela Trophy?
Well, I hope so. At least that's in the plan. The costumes are pretty much, I would say, 80% ready. And I still need to see the final result and skate in them. But I do aim to show both of them in like start my season with them. I still don't have the exhibition program and the exhibition costume, but the competitive stuff is being really taken care of.
Okay. So, なので、ごめんなさい。80% ぐらいも衣装は準備ができていて、でまだただ着て滑るっていうのはやってませんと。で、ただ、着て滑るのはまだやってないけど、でただ、そのネペラで着るっていうのは一応予定に入っていて、でただ、エキシビションの新しいプログラムとエキシビの衣装はまだできていないということでした。So, can you also share as how you and your team choose and decide your costumes?
So we trust, so basically the costumes is a product between staff, Ev, the person that makes the costumes, her name is Ev, and me. So we all kind of together decide what we want, how we want it, and we like Steph and we trust Ev completely, and we are very, very glad for her amazing work. And it happens a little bit like we share our ideas with her, and then she adds her vision on top after some research, and then we correct it a little bit, and then it's formed. Basically, it comes to the point I search for pragmatism in it. I search for the basically second skin feeling. I want to feel good in them for skating purpose, not just for style and looks. While Steph is a little bit more about how he sees a vision, how he wants to see it from the side. And then Ev makes it all come up together with some interesting ideas that combine style and utility.
Okay.
And then what ends up as a costume, we make first costume, and then we just correct or adjust or like make it smoother, rounder, and basically we fill up the details that later on always can change and move and adjust depending on the necessity. Like last free programs costume was made multiple times because of the complexity of some parts of it, and also because wanted to change something from one season to another. It's totally like a bit random, but yet it has a structure, the process.
Okay, so スタッフと、エブっていう女性が作っていて、その方と、スタッフと自分の、3人で、3社で、作り上げるもので、エブのことはとても信頼していて、まず、どんなプログラムかっていうのをエブに伝えて、で、それを、じゃあエブがそれに関して、じゃあちょっとリサーチをしたりして、もうちょっとこう修正して作ってみて、で、それをまた一緒に修正したり、ディティールを加えていったりっていうことをしていて、で、ただデニスにとってはやっぱりそれを着て滑るので、2枚目の肌のような着心地を求めていて、でもステファンはもっとどっちかっていうと見た目とかコンセプトに合ってるかとかそういうことを重要視しているので、そこをこうすり合わせて、ベストなものを作っていくっていうような感じでやっていると。例えば昨シーズンのフリープログラムの衣装なんかは何度もこう修正しながら作っていったということです。Does Ev actually see the program before she makes the costume?
Of course, we do our best to share our vision and present her with as much information as she requires. And she is very interested in figure skating in her own way. She's not from figure skating world, yet she appreciates it as another art form. And that's why we probably can understand one another pretty well, is because her background is very classic suits. Like she makes an excellent outfits for events like suits, and she really has a great structure. And when she applies her creative mind together with our needs, it's end up what you see, the costumes that are simple yet elegant and pragmatic.
Okay. エブっていう方は実際にそのプログラムを見るんですかっていう質問をしたら、もちろんそうで、彼女がちゃんとそのイメージを捉えることができるように、自分たちとしてはしっかりプレゼンテーションをすると。で、もともとそのフィギュアの世界の人ではないんだけれども、フィギュアスケートのことをすごく尊重して一つのアートだっていうふうに考えてくれている人で、もともとはクラシック古典的なスーツとかを作るようなドレスメーカーの方だけれども、とにかくなんていうか、形としても美しいし、実用的であるものを作れるような腕のいいドレスメーカーの方だということでした。Okay, so thank you about the costumes, and okay, we are moving to next question. Okay, so we heard that you have been involved a lot in the choreography for the new short program. How does it feel like to be a choreographer, and would you like to choreograph the programs for yourself in the future? And how about for the other skaters?
It's a build-up for me. The thing is, I really enjoy making something new. I love to create, no matter is it skating or outside the figure skating. The difficulty when you make something for yourself is this uncertainty, because you want the best, but you don't really want to accept fully the responsibility of it. Like, you don't believe in yourself. And making this program, although it was a lot of involvement, the personal commitment to it, it's easier with someone. And like that, it's like being taught with a teacher. When teacher tells you, okay, he points out and he says, okay, reflect on this. Are you certain about this? Like, it's in a way of asking a lot of questions and refining the original material. But yes, in the future, I can imagine myself working creatively and applying my bubbling passion towards creating choreographies and creating new programs. As for myself, as I said earlier, I a little bit struggle with accepting what I'm doing as the best course of action, because partly I know I can't see myself from the side, and even when I watch the video, I tend to get a bit too critical, too judgmental, and it's also difficult to piece it up together without overly thinking about it in a way that goes unconstructive and actually self-destructive.
Okay, so その何かを想像するっていうことはとても大切にしているし大好きなんだけれども、その自分のために振り付けをするっていうのはすごく難しくって、そのベストなものがやっぱり欲しいんだけれども、その自分が作ったものがベストかどうかっていうことが自信を持てない部分があって、こう例えばその自分の振り付けを客観的に見たときに、それに対してこう批判的になりすぎたり、こう考えてしまいすぎたりして、結果的にこうなんかセルフディストラクティブっていうとちょっと自虐的になりすぎちゃうところがあって、そこがちょっと難しい。その自分のためにこれをするっていうのは難しいところだっていうことは言ってたんですけど、ただ将来的にはその自分のその想像に対する情熱をイメージできます。So you're also you can also think about doing the choreograph for other skaters, like not only yourself.
Hypothetically, for the future, yes.
将来的にはそういうことも考えてもいいのかなっていうふうには思ってる。So you do have the image, like when you hear the music, you can image the choreography. So do you have that kind of I don't know, imagination?
It comes more naturally. Like when I hear music and I feel it and I get into the groove, the movement comes naturally. I often don't know what I have done. I just expressed myself. And if we're talking about others, sometimes I do see that person might not completely have the right character for the music, or rather you see that person doesn't feel that his performance, his music, his choreography actually, like, he feels a bit uncomfortable with himself. And that's something that comes, I think, with experience, as you watch a lot of material over the span of your lengthy figure skating career. And I would love to challenge it in a way to find what person wants or feels good, which comes more natural, more authentic feeling of particular skater. And it's a little bit different approach, I think, than most of choreographers do. But if I would make vision based on the natural expression of a skater himself, rather than try to mold the skater towards certain vision and certain music, which is basically a reverse ideology of choreography that I am aware of.
Okay. そのデニス自身は音楽を聴くと、自然に動きが、それに合う動きが浮かんでくると。で、例えば他のスケーターを見ているとき、いろんな今までフィギュアスケーターとしてのキャリアの中で他の人が演技しているのを見ていると、自分に合ってない ようなものをやっていたりとか、自分にこう合ってない音楽で滑ってたりとかっていう、その個性に合ってないような個性で滑ってたり、音楽で滑ってたりとかっていうのを見かけるんだけれども、自分がもしコレオグラフィーをする、振り付けをするとしたら、その振り付けをして、それにその選手を合わせさせるっていうのではなくて、そのスケーターの個性に合わせたものを作るっていうことをやってみたいというふうに。もともとその振り付けっていうのはその前者でその作ったものに合わせるっていうのをやってることが多いと思うんだけれどっていうことでした。Okay, so the next question. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, the next question. So about fantasy on ice in Japan. So especially about Midnight Sky, your program, and what is your interpretation, story, and thoughts on this program?
I had, I can't say a bit of a story, but more like an image of creature. I can't define its shape or form. I can only define its spirit and thought. And I felt a little bit of this, that you're not necessarily afraid, but you feel uncomfortable to get out of your comfort zone or your habitat that you're well aware of, like let's say forest. And in certain moments when you are, let's say, in a beautiful ambience, or as Midnight Sky, as itself says, this magic feeling of light in the dark, you open up and you thrust into the unknown and you explore something new. And this creature, in a way that is weird in its own way, is pushing its limit and challenging without being aware that it's leaving safety to return back to it with a new experience. So the idea for me is a lot about contrast, or at least the thought that I wish to bring is the contrast, a certain unconscious unawareness of natural process of development and growth.
Mm-hmm. Difficult. Okay,
it's about sensation. It's less about, like, I want to feel something and express this very personal sensation rather than pretend I'm something I'm not. That's probably why, from watching the same performance through different times, different places, I find it to be different in a feeling as itself, because the thought, the idea behind it is somewhat always differently represented because of the state of mind and the ambience around it.
Okay, so
Good luck.
Thanks. ミッドナイトスカイについて質問したんですけど、まあ、それ、なんかこう、クリエイチャーっていう、クリエイチャーって言ってたけど、何らかの生き物が、まあ、自分のその巣なのか、コンフォートゾーンに行ったところを、その、まあ、ミッドナイトスカイ、その空なのか、その綺麗なもの、美しいものに惹かれて、その自分のコンフォートゾーンを抜け出して、それをこう探しに行くみたいな、そういうイメージを表していると。で、難しいんですけど、なんかそのコントラストとか、 何かのこう成長とか、そういったものをこう表現したくて、演技をしていたということなんですけど、なかなか通訳が難しい。すごい抽象的で哲学的な話なので通訳が難しいんですけど、そういうその自分のそのコンフォートゾーンを抜け出してこう飛び立つみたいな、そういう多分イメージなのかなと思います。Okay, I tried my best. Okay, so the next question, I hope it's easier. So during your recent stay in Daugavpils, what was the most enjoyable, interesting experience?
I had discovered rowing.
Okay.
It was a different state because a lot of the things were decided by me in a way. It's one of the first times when I come home and I really felt that I was willing to go around, explore, try new things, and meet people, not out of necessity or some sort of pull towards, but more out of my own desire to express my gratitude and share my positive emotion. And I also had discovered a beautiful lake that where we were rowing, where we were swimming, and met a lot of fun, new, and entertaining people that I really enjoyed spending my time with, and they were not connected with figure skating.
Mhm.
And I was more active, and I was really enjoying my time, and to see my parents and at the same time have this balance between home and outside of home in a hometown. So I had a lot of time, a lot of fun time there, much more than I can recall. And yeah, that just left a very warm feeling.
Great. その帰郷したときに今回みたいに自分でいろんなことを決めて自分の行きたいところに行ってっていうことをしたのは、ほぼ初めてのことで、とっても楽しかったとで、Facebook の方で見た方もいらっしゃるかもしれないんですけど、湖に行ってこう船を漕いだりとか、あと泳いだりとか、そういうこともしたし、あとスケートとは全く関係ないこう一緒にいて楽しい新しい人たちと出会うこともできた。で、両親に会えたのも嬉しかったし、両親お家に帰ったけどまた家族とは違う他の人たちとこう触れ合うこともできたし、今回の帰省はすごく楽しくって、思い出すとこうあったかい気持ちになるようないい経験だったということです。よかったですね。Okay. Thank you. Okay. So the next question. Okay. About the language you speak. Okay. Which aspects do you appreciate the most about each language you speak? Do you ever experience somewhat of a personality change as you switch from one language to another?
I don't really think there is much change that comes, but I am certain that the expression, when I feel comfortable and I sing in that language, I'm way more open. While, for example, if I struggle and I start to search for words, it perhaps makes me sometimes doubt myself, and the personality, as you say, change is a little bit more just because you become more cautious or a little bit struggling to find the appropriate word to describe your feeling or the thought you wish to say. But I do find that, for example, listening to proper speeches of each language, it really ends up being like in a sort of tune of music. Because if we're talking about literature, one of the things I really love about English, it's very clear. It's quite simple and it's straightforward. A little bit what I get from German language, that was the structure of it. If we're talking about French, it's really so beautiful. It's almost like singing. It one thing harmoniously transfers in the other. It becomes almost like music in its own right. The Russian language is, you can make it so precise and so complex with so much underneath the words you hear that for literature it becomes really something astonishing, particularly when you have an old-fashioned Russian, not old-fashioned, but from, let's say, 18th, 19th century literature. And then you have, for example, Latvian, which is a beast of its own. It's very different. It also has its own beauty, and it's a language that I particularly struggle to connect properly because I guess I invested a lot of time learning its grammar. So when I speak, sometimes I really aim to be exactly as I learned it in the rules, and perhaps it sometimes restricts me from being more open and just let it fly. And so yeah, that's pretty much it. The Italian is really interesting to me because it just always makes me smile. Whenever I hear it, I want to smile. While hearing, for example, when any other languages, like for example Japanese, it's, you don't really understand, yet you make an attempt to follow the tone and the sound sharpness or softness, and you try to make out something, but it usually doesn't end up that you understand something. So all you can do is smile and say wakarimasen.
Okay. あんまりこう自分の人格が変わるような感じがするかっていう質問をしたんですけど、それはあんまりなくって、ただなんかこう言葉が例えばその言語で考えてて見つからなかったりすると、こうなんていうかこう思考自体がちょっとこうなんていうのかな、うまくいかなくなることがあるっていうことを言ってて、あとはそれぞれの言葉へのイメージを話してくれてたんですけど、英語はとにかくクリアでシンプルな、言語だし、フランス語は歌みたい、音楽みたい、とっても美しい言語だし、ロシア語はすごく複雑で、例えば文学にしたときに、文字にしたり文章にしたとき、例えばトルストイとかそういう話なのかもしれないですけど、文学にしたときに、力を発揮するっていうことを言ってて、でラトビア語はラトビア語ですごく独特で、やっぱり学校でデニスが文法を学ぶことにすごくラトビア語の文法を学ぶ時間が長かったから、どうしてもラトビア語で自分を表現しようとしても、やっぱ文法っていうところが前面に出てきてしまって、あんまりこう自分をオープンに表現するとか、それをこう使ってこうなんていうかたくさんお話しするとかっていうのはちょっと苦手というふうに感じてしまうところがある。でイタリア語はすごく楽しくって聞いてると笑顔になる。であと日本語はどうしてもわからないんだけど、こう一生懸命聞いて も結局わからなくって、わかりませんっていうふうに言って終わるっていうことになるということです。Okay. And we have a request for you. Can you do a tongue twister in Russian or English? Do you know tongue twister?
Tongue twister?
Tongue twister. Short sentence, which is difficult to pronounce. Do you know tongue twister in maybe Russian?
Okay, in Russian, I think I know one. I'm not sure I will be correct, but it will be something. Шла Саша по шоссе и сосала сушку. I think that was correct.
Okay.
That was in Russian. In Latvian, I don't know the tongue twisters.
Mm-hmm.
In English, I don't know tongue twisters.
Mm-hmm.
In French, I don't know tongue twisters.
Okay. So what does it mean? So what was the tongue twister you said in Russian mean?
A girl named Sasha was walking on the highway, and she was eating the kind of a donut that is it's like fried donut in a way, like a piece of bread.
Okay. So なんかサーシャっていう女の子が出てくるロシア語の、早口言葉を言ってください。Can you do it again, please?
Шла Саша по шоссе и сосала сушку.
Okay, thank you. So how many languages do you speak now? Russian?
Well, Latvian,
Latvian?
Russian, English, a little bit of French.
French?
I would stick with those four.
Okay.
Because I would not try to communicate in any other language, even if I would like to.
Okay. So how fluent are you in French now? How often do you use French in
If we're talking about something relating figure skating, or let's say for teaching, then of course I'm way more comfortable talking French. But when it comes to, let's say we decide suddenly to talk about literature, I will be a total zero. Even though I might understand most of the things not precise, I won't be able to speak because my vocabulary is still short of what I would call a comfortable level to fully communicate. But with time, I will improve that. And yeah.
Okay. And フランス語のレベルとしては、フィギュアスケートのこととか、そのティーチングっていうのかな、のことを話すことに関しては、十分だけれども、例えば文学の話をしようっていうふうになると、ちょっと難しいし、やっぱり語彙が足りないというようなレベル。So, like if you're in Champuri and you go to like supermarket or a restaurant, do you use French usually?
I can communicate French. I might not always be precise and correct from like rules, but I can understand and I can answer to a random folk. And in a way, I probably could give an interview in French. It's simply a matter of not running out of the words to describe myself or my feelings and sensations, which usually ends up to be a little bit messy. And yeah, I'm, when I answer the question, I can go sideways and things like that. So if I talk French, I will be short.
Okay, yeah.
Short.
Okay, so, 話せるのが、ロシア語、母語であるロシア語と、ラトビア語、英語、フランス語。で、フランス語は、例えばその、コミュニケーションはできるし、もしかしたら文法はちょっと正しくなかったりするかもしれないけど、大体、言ってることもわかるしっていうレベルで、例えばじゃあインタビューにフランス語で答えるってなったら多分答えられるけど、ファンの皆さんがしているように、デニスは質問すると結構話がいろんなところに行ったりすることもあるんですけど、多分フランス語だと、それはないだろうと。聞かれたことに答えて終わるっていう形になるでしょうということでした。Okay, so moving up to next question. Thank you. So which Latvian food do you recommend for foreigners like us? And what is your favorite home cooking when you return home?
Return home.
Yeah, maybe your mother's
Latvia or to here?
No, in Latvia. So
in Latvia. Okay.
Your mother's cooking, maybe, I don't know.
So one of the things that I haven't managed to find in Europe anywhere is a cottage cheese that is in fact done with the same consistency more or less as back in Latvia. Because in here so cottage cheese, it's something like, in Latvia it's not smooth and like it's not paste, it's not liquid, it's actually very dry, very rich in protein curls of cheese, which just have completely different texture, way more distinct taste, and it's just way more versatile when you cook with it. So what I can say, Latvian cottage cheese, it's something I used to eat a lot as a kid. It's one of my favorite, you can call it meal, dessert. It's versatile, like it fills you up. It's relatively healthy, and it's something that you can flavor in whichever way you want. One of perhaps my favorite dishes that my grandmother used to also make was the pancakes out of this cottage cheese. When you basically turn this cottage cheese with some additions into the very smooth and fluffy, not fluffy, like they're relatively heavy in a way, but they have a very gentle texture. They're not exactly melted cheese, and yet they have a little bit of this tanginess, which makes it unique. It's something that is very hard to find made well, and it's very easy to burn, but it's a dish that is like, it's heavenly made. That's the only adjective I can have. And it's delicious with addition of like fruits, extra cream, or any jam, but just on its own, like the basically nothing except this pancake is also tasty in its own right. And it's very tricky to make, and I haven't done it myself. I have tried to do something out of cottage cheese here, and it was a mess, and I was very disappointed. But I just have this a very particular image of those cottage cheese pancakes, and I think this is the most iconic dish for me, because I eat it almost every single meal every time I come to Latvia, or at least once a day. My mom is very kind to do those. And yes, it's something that I can eat only when I'm in Latvia. And last time, what was hilarious is the fact that when my mom decided to go to buy this cottage cheese, because she asked a lot, the lady that was selling, and she was a mother of a former figure skater I used to skate. She's like, "Oh, Deniss is back home." Because and she automatically said to my mom which sour cream of right consistency and fatness to choose to round up already amazing cottage cheese that she was selling her for precisely those pancakes. And they turn out to be actually not close, but kind of on the right track towards what I wanted in those pancakes. And my father enjoyed them very much as well. And it's just very comforting family dish, let's say.
Okay.
But in Latvia, one of the particular things that I think I haven't seen anywhere else, even though the black bread exists here, it doesn't have the same flavor a bit, maybe because it's made out of somehow differently. But in Latvia, the very particular thing is a black bread, the rye bread.
Rye bread.
I think it's rye.
Right.
When it's kind of fresh, it has a particular the herb that we put in there, which I don't know, this it just smells a bit different what you find here. It's not just basically bread baked. It's made a little bit different, and I think usually they add a little bit of honey in there, and also the yeast that was fed on this flour throughout the long time as it's being fed and used, and how it developed and matures. It has a particular aftertaste. So when you have a good, very good yeast out of which this bread is made, it's very unique. You have to, in a way, like it or grow onto this feeling, but it's one of those things that I think very like highlight this particularness in Latvian cuisine. And often it's made with also putting inside some nuts, and it's really like comforting to eat that. And it's also difficult to find because the best ones are artisan made.
Artisan made.
So yeah, it's not something you can just industrially buy because it's very quickly goes so. Like you really need to find the right place, and it's one of those things that to me is like, that's it. That's the only way to have it.
Okay. ラトビアの食べ物としてはカッテージチーズがその他のヨーロッパの国で食べるものとはちょっと違って、もっとこうタンパク質が多くって固形っぽい感じの、日本も2種類売ってなんかこう滑らかなのとそうじゃないのと売ってると思うんですけど、でそのラトビアのカッテージチーズはちょっと全然こうテクスチャーが違って、でそれで作るそのデニスのおばあちゃまのパンケーキっていうのがすごく美味しくって、でヘビーだけどすごく優しいこう繊細な味がして、でフルーツとかクリームとかジャムとかを乗せても美味しいし、そのまんま食べてもすごく美味しい。でも作るのはとっても難しくって、そのデニスがスイスのカテージチーズで作ってみようとしたらもうめちゃくちゃなことになったそうです。で、この前で帰ると必ずもう1日に1回はそのパンケーキを食べるんだけれども、この前その帰省した時にデニスのお母様がスーパーマーケットにそれを買いに行ったら、その店員さんが、レジの店員さんが、昔デニスがスケートを一緒に習ってた子のお母さんだったんだけれども、あ、デニスが帰ってきたのねって言ったっていうぐらい、そのカッテージチーズを帰るたびに1杯買って、お母様は買ってくれて、それでパンケーキを作ってくれる。で、あとそのデ ラトビアの食べ物としてすごく特徴的なのが黒パンで、そのライ麦で作った黒パンで、その日本、そのスイスでももちろんそのライ麦の黒パンっていうのはあるんだけれども、そのハーブが入ってたり、蜂蜜が入ってたりで、ちょっとその味がどうしてもそっちのものとは違ってすごく独特で、一番そのいいパンはそのスーパーマーケットとかでは買えなくて、やっぱりそのお店で職人さんが作るようなパンなので、その辺で買えるものじゃないんだけど、とにかくそれがやっぱりそのラトビア特有の、食べ物ということでした。Do you remember you saying in the interview when you were younger that you want to buy a bakery shop for your mother so she can have fresh bread every day? Do you remember that? I remember that.
I remember that, but I also remember the part of discovering when I realized that my mom actually do not really like baking or cooking as much as I do. So it a little bit left a tainted feeling about it.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Because I also, what is amazing about having a fresh bread and the fresh thing is also partly to enjoy it, to really understand what you're eating and how much effort went into it and appreciate the whole concept.
Yeah.
And it's something that, let's say, a skill of its own that needs to be practiced, and something that we all, me in particular, could use some improvement. And my parents,
the 15 minutes has passed, but how many more minutes do you have left? I would like to.
Well, ideally, I would love to be done by 10 because I need to go to the warm-up.
Yeah, okay.
To prepare for my ice. Today I have only one opportunity to skate, and it's rather soon.
Okay.
So,
okay, so maybe
I would rather let's do another meeting some other time.
Yeah.
And continue rather than extend this one and then spend half a year waiting for another one or a whole year.
Yeah, okay. So maybe one or two questions left. Okay, and so 今の質問は昔お母さん昔まだディニスがもっと小さかった時に成功したらお母さんにパン屋さんを買ってあげたい、毎日パンを食べられるよう、美味しいパンを食べられるようにって言ったっていうのを覚えてたので、それ覚えてるって聞いたら、まあでもお母さんはそんなになんかパンも別に好きじゃないから、まあ今思うとそれは必要ないのかなっていう話をしてました。10分にはもう終わらなきゃいけないということなので、じゃああと質問を一つだけして、あとデニスの育ててる植物を見せてもらえたらと思うんですけど、okay, maybe one more question.
Go for it.
Okay, so which scent do you like the best?
I am indecisive. The thing is, I love a lot rather sweet and fruitful tastes, but yet when it's too sweet, I automatically think about eating something sweet, and it doesn't do good for me. But yet I like strong tastes, like strong, like depth. That for me, the taste of incense needs to have a depth into it. It needs to start one way and leave a pleasant aftertaste. And that's why I cannot really picture like one particular. For example, if you take like a perfume, it's a mix of a lot of herbs. So that's why it's difficult for me to answer this question. I can only say, yes, I like it, or no, it's not my kind, when I actually feel it. But but generally speaking, I really like light and fruitful, that has a character of its own, that doesn't like, it's rich, it has depth in it, but it's not also something that completely overpowers everything around. Like it's a bit subtle, but rather it has to have a lot of subtle notes in it.
So it has to be light but rich and deep.
It's a very complex balance.
Okay. Yeah. まあ、甘い香りとか、その果物みたいな香りも好きなんだけれども、やっぱり力強さがあって深みがある方がよくて、で、まあ、繊細じゃなくちゃいけないしっていうことですごくこうなんていうか難しい好みみたいです。Could you show us one of your plants?
My plants?
Your friend? Yes. Thank you. What's his or her name?
This is Buzen.
Buzen. Okay.
The ginseng plant.
Ginseng. なんだろう。Buzen. Is it she or he?
I like to think it's he.
Okay. 彼はブゼンだそうです。じゃあ、スクショタイムを取ろうかなと思います。Thank you, Deniss.
Sure.
Can we do the screenshots of you from now? Okay?
Sure.
じゃあ、皆さんどうぞ。So, everybody, you can do the screenshots. Take the screenshots. 撮れましたか？ Everybody okay? Were you able to take the best shot? Okay, smile. 撮れましたかね？ Okay, so, the last part. Could you give us fans a message? メッセージをデニーさん。
Yes. So, at least in Switzerland, we kind of forgot existence of COVID, but yet the sickness itself haven't left. So I would wish to all of you to stay vigilant and safe, so that we all feel good, and also spend more time with the nature outside, enjoy some fresh air, and just feel calmer around a lot of greens and its own unique ambience of the forest, let's say, if you have such an opportunity. And I would say, try to think, how can you create a weekly culture habit, let's say. For example, like for me, it's a cooking something once a week, something particular, special out of your heart, and just live positively, enjoy, and be constructive.
Thank you. スイスでは、あまりもうコロナの影響がなくなってきてるけど、まだそうじゃないところもいっぱいあるし、皆さんには健康でいてほしいですっていうことと、あと自然を楽しんで 緑の中で散歩したりとか、そういう体験をしてくださいねっていうことと、あと、自分にとっては例えば料理することがすごく大切な文化的な体験なんだけど、皆さんもぜひそういう習慣を持ってくださいということでした。Okay, so, okay, thank you, Deniss. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, we're going to wave to you and say goodbye.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
It was a
bye
huge
bye.
pleasure. And
Thank you.
see you next time.
See you. Bye bye. 皆さんありがとうございました。Thank you, everybody.